Hi guys, welcome to another video. I am excited to be back on YouTube now that I have taken like a 6-month break. I honestly really missed posting every single week. It's just been hard with Lincoln not napping anymore, so he's doing quiet time right now. This is the only time I can film when he's doing quiet time and Waylon is napping at the same time. So you might hear him in the background. I first just want to say thank you guys so much for your kind words on my last video. If you haven't watched that yet, I'll link it in the corner. You can go watch it. This video is going to go deep into the signs that we saw. I am going to give you all the deets, and I hope I can help someone who is maybe not sure if their child has autism or not, because I know I looked up a million videos like this. I am an Enneagram 5, and so I love diving into research. I mean, literally the Enneagram 5 is called the investigator, so researching things helps me. But maybe I can help a mom, and that's my goal with making these videos, is just to be able to help another mom like me. So let's just get into it. Oh wait, no, I have one more thing to say. This is just our experience. Every kid's gonna be different and have different signs. You might not have all of them, you might have more than these, but if you do have a feeling, or maybe your kid has some of these signs, just take them to the doctor. Peace of mind, you know, just take them to the doctor. That way you'll know. All right, so I'm gonna be referencing my phone because I have some notes on here that I wrote down for this video, and let's just get into it. Number one is a speech delay. So I wasn't calling it a speech delay at that point because I didn't know if it was a speech delay or not. I was actually just a first-time mom, and I had no idea that he wasn't even talking like he was supposed to be talking.
Can you say ew? Can you say yuck?
Yeah.
Can you say Brit?
Yeah.
Brit.
Yeah.
Can you say rawr?
Yeah.
I knew that he had a cousin that was his exact age and that she was talking way more than him. She was talking circles around him. But I just kept saying, well, she's a girl and she's the third child. And so we can't compare them, right? You never want to like compare your kid to other kids, and everybody develops at different stages, and that is absolutely true. But he started saying mom and dada, and then he stopped. That is a sign. He was repeating us, and he is now. He's 2.5. He's still more so just repeating us and not asking for things. And the repetition is actually, there's a term for it, and it's called echolalia. Here's some examples of that. We would say, good job, dude. He would go, job, dude. We would say, what color is that? And he would go, color that. We would say, do you want to go to the park? He would go, the park. He would never say, yes, I want to go to the park. He would never say, thanks. Like when we say, good job, dude. He would never be like, thanks, mom. So he wouldn't just like ask us for things. He would never just ask us for juice. He would never just tell us what he wanted. He would never ask us for milk. He wouldn't tell us if he was hungry. We never know what he's upset about. Most kids, you know what their tantrum is about. We never know what his tantrum is about. And honestly, that is the hardest part about not being able to communicate with your kid, because you don't know how to help them. And that is why having an autism diagnosis is great. It's a good thing, because you can get them therapy. You can get them the therapy that they need. Therapists can help you, and you can just have more sympathy for them and empathy and patience and everything for them, because you realize what they're going through and why they are the way that they are. You can't just get frustrated with them, you know? The other thing that I want to mention is that he would never gesture to us. Kids with just a speech delay, they will gesture to you what they want. Lincoln never did that. So like Waylon, for example, I hate comparing them because I just hate it. You have to sometimes to give examples. So Waylon, for example, would like go over the high chair when he's hungry. He does this all the time. He's hungry, he goes over the high chair and he like puts his hands up there and he like looks at us and he's like, ah, like he's like making noises, and like he already says some words anyways, but he doesn't quite say like, you know, I want food or anything like that, because that would be crazy. He's only 13 months old, but he like goes over the high chair and he like lets us know that he's hungry. Lincoln never did that. He still doesn't do that. He will like climb into the fridge sometimes and just try to get stuff out. But I mean, he's 2.5 now, he's climbing into everything. But yeah, that is the difference between like a speech delay and like autism. it's different. Number 2 is stimming. So I have the stims written down on here. He did a lot of them and he still does all of them. Okay, so spinning, rocking, small hand flap. He doesn't hand flap a lot. Hand flapping is probably the smallest one that he does. His is like very not noticeable. Spinning wheels, repetitive behaviors. So flipping up and down light switches, opening and closing doors, lining up toys. I will notice that it's either like when he's really anxious and mad and stressed, or sometimes it's just like when he's happy. Like he'll just go and he'll rock in Waylon's room and on his rocking chair and he'll go wee, and he just has fun rocking. There's some different things about it. And then another thing is like, sometimes it's hard to know when you're a first time mom. I have videos of him spinning and me being like, oh look, he's dancing. I have videos of him hand flapping and me saying, oh, does this count as a clap? It's hard to know. It's hard to know when you're a first time mom and you've never had a kid before.
What are you doing? You're hilarious.
I even used to work at a preschool. I used to work with kids and I was a nanny. I used to work with kids. Like I literally have my AA in early childhood development, guys. I still didn't like see it right away. Like, yeah, I saw it before Adam. Like, yeah, I still took him to the doctor for it. Like my pediatrician didn't tell me. I took him and was like, I think he has autism, but it took me a while. It took me till he was 2. So anyways, number 3 is that he walks on his tiptoes. He's done this for a while. I looked it up and there's multiple different reasons that kids with autism do this, but every kid it's going to be different for. What our pediatrician told me is that physical therapy can help with that and that their muscles can tighten from it, so you should try to stretch out their legs. So that's what we've been doing every night, is that we stretch out his calves, and he loves it. He loves when he gets his calves stretched. And he actually like lays there and he's like, ah. So even when he's like in the middle of a meltdown, I'll just stretch out his legs and it calms him down sometimes. So tiptoe walking is another sign. Number 4 is that he doesn't respond to his name. I won't go too into detail on this because I know I mentioned it in the other video. Some of these I mentioned, I know I'm going more into detail, but I just don't want to get too repetitive from the last video. So anyways, he has trouble responding to his name. I know he does not have a hearing problem because he responds immediately to music or any other sounds. He like immediately turns his head and starts running. But our voices, when we say like Lincoln, Lincoln, like whatever, he just like doesn't respond. So that's definitely hard, especially when he's running off in public and you're trying to get him to come back and then you literally have to run and catch him. So number 5 is that he never really pointed and he cannot follow our point. So an example is like the other day we're literally at Costco and Mickey Mouse pictures, right, on like this cardboard box. There's like a few of them and I'm like, oh my gosh, he loves Mickey. So I'm like, look, Mickey, look, Lincoln is like right next to us. So I'm like, look, and I'm like pointing. He's like, where? Like he's just like looking around. It makes me so sad because I'm like, it's right there. But he just can't follow it. And he's like looking around up in the sky. He just can't figure it out. I really don't know why this happens, like why they can't follow a point, but that's just one of the signs. And the other thing is just that he doesn't point at things, and it's definitely become very evident the differences now that we have Waylon, just because I never realized that he should have been pointing that much. Like when Waylon was like 8 months old, he was pointing at everything and I didn't even realize that he was supposed to be pointing. Like that's the hard part of being a first time mom. So what number is this? Okay, so number 6, he is by himself often at social events. So he's actually interested in other kids. He really like wants to be like, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's like basically he'll go up to them, he'll get really close to them and he'll just stare at them and he's like who are, like what are you, like I don't know, like I just want to be near you. So that's for like the first few minutes, and he'll kind of like go up really close to them and he kind of freaks them out sometimes if we're just like at a playground and they don't know him. They're kind of like, what are you doing? And then they like run off and he kind of like tries to follow them and like mimic them. He usually like babbles something that they don't understand and they're like whatever and they run off. That's if they're at a playground. If we're like with his cousins, he'll do the same thing. He'll kind of like want to like mimic them. He tries to like copy what they're doing. He does that for 3 or 4 minutes, then he runs away. He wants to be off on his own. So he usually runs to the front room, runs off and does something. Then he usually starts flipping light switches, opening and closing doors. He starts like stimming. Then he starts running out the door. So then he starts running out the front door. You're constantly having to watch him. If you're not watching him, he will be out the front door and getting hit by a car. Like, he's never gotten hit by a car, but that's what will happen if you're not watching him. Because he does like to be on his own and he just tends to wander, you have to watch him all the time. So yeah, that was just one more sign that we saw, just not really social like other 2-year-olds would be. So number 7 is that he never really added us into his play. This is another classic autism thing. He just like was fine playing on his own. He won't come up and bring you a toy and show you and be like, look what I'm playing with, look how cool this is. He would never bring you over and be like, come build blocks with me. If he brought you a toy, it was mostly to just be like, can you fix this for me? Like, my ukulele cord needs tightening. Like, basically, he wouldn't say that, but you know what I'm saying. He would just bring it to you and go, ah, and then you would tune his guitar, is basically what I'm saying. So we found ways ever since he was little. We would basically like lay on the floor with him and like pretend with him. So I would do this thing and I would just go like, mommy, go to sleep, and I would like pretend like I was asleep, and then he would have to like wake me up.
You gonna get me? You gonna wake me up? Ow! What the heck? What is this?
He loves being swung upside down. I would just like meet him where he's at. So like if he's building blocks or if he's doing music, I would come and like play next to him. Although he does hate it. If anyone else sings, he throws a fit. You cannot sing. Only he can sing, and only the people on the video, like if we're playing music, only they can sing. So don't try to sing next to him. But yeah, I would just go like play next to him and let him just do his thing. Found ways to play with him. Even if he doesn't like seek us out, we found ways to like bond. So number 8 is that he's got a pretty rigid routine. A couple of examples of that would be like he has his favorite books. He won't really like branch out much and read new ones. His quiet time is in the afternoon. So the other day I tried to move it around because we had friends coming over in the afternoon. I tried to move it around and do like kind of like a mid-morning quiet time. Wasn't having it. He was throwing all of his stuff out of his room, and like when you try to leave the park, I mean, I know a lot of kids struggle with leaving the park, but like he does not like transitions. And so we've started doing the timer trick that I got from an Instagram page, Big Little Feelings, and basically like you just set the timer for like 5 minutes and you say like, okay, you can come and turn it on, and then they set the timer themselves, and then they have 5 more minutes to play, and then you leave. It's been working amazing for bedtime and when we leave the park. So that's actually a really good tip, but his routine he's very strict about, and that's another autism sign. Number 9 is that he didn't really ever respond properly to emotion. He still doesn't. So the first things that we noticed was that he would laugh at the scary and sad parts of movies. Most kids, I've even seen videos of like sad parts of movies, and then their kids are like sitting there on the couch like crying. They're so upset about like this sad part. And like even like 1 or 2-year-olds, I've seen like videos of that, and it's like this like funny thing because they're so upset, right? He like laughs. Like he literally thinks it's so funny. He thinks it's funny when people get hurt. Like he just thinks it's so funny. So Waylon, whenever Waylon gets hurt, like even if Lincoln's the one that hurts him, he's not fazed by it at all. Like we try to get him to say sorry. We're like, buddy, we try to get him to understand. We're like, you hurt Waylon, you need to come say sorry. You need to give him a hug, or like, can you kiss it? And I would say about half the time, like he'll still like give him a kiss or like give him a hug. Occasionally he'll say like sorry, but he doesn't understand it at all. Like he's totally just like in his own world. A lot of times he just keeps on like strumming his guitar or playing or whatever, and he just doesn't understand it. And that's okay. I mean, like, it's not his fault. He just doesn't get it. But this is just another sign that I'm telling you, like, just another sign that we saw. Waylon, on the other hand, if he sees Lincoln crying, even if he just sees him crying, he will start crying a lot of the time. Sometimes he's just like fine, but he's at least watching him and his eyes are like concerned. Lincoln is just like in his own world, but Waylon's always like concerned, and half the time he starts crying. So that's just the difference. And number 10 is that he avoids eye contact. So he doesn't completely avoid it. Like, we do still get like little spurts of eye contact from him, but it's not for very long. Like, he doesn't hold it for very long. And I would say that the times that he avoids it more is if you're like trying to force it more. Like, when I was trying to figure out if he did have autism, I definitely was like trying to see if he was giving me eye contact, and I would like be like, Lincoln, Lincoln, and obviously wasn't responding to his name. And I would like try to talk to him, try to like get him to look at my eyes, and he would avoid it more. Like, try to get him to look at you, he's gonna avoid it more. And then also like lovey-dovey conversations. Like, for example, when I'm laying him down in bed, I read him his 3 books or whatever, then I lay him down and I'm like, Lincoln, I had such a good day with you, and we did this, like we went to the park, we had really good lunch, and we got to play with your cousins, and I can't wait to hang out with you again tomorrow. I love you so much. And he just like is so sweet, and he's always smiling, but he's always looking away. He never will look at me. So that's just another sign, is that he avoids eye contact. So those are the main ones. I'm gonna throw in one bonus one because I just kind of thought of it today and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw in a bonus. So he also has struggled with sleep, and I almost didn't want to throw this one in here just because I didn't want anyone to think like, oh no, my child doesn't sleep, so that means they have autism, because that does not mean that. Obviously, if your child just struggles with sleep, like, that's clear. That's clearly not like an autism thing. But if all of these other things go on and then they also struggle with sleep, then like that's just like an added factor. Like, I do think a lot of kids with autism have sleep problems, and that's definitely Lincoln. So he does sleep through the night a lot, most nights I would say, but it took him a long time to get to that point where he could sleep through the night. And he wakes up with night terrors, I would call them, and he wakes up screaming his head off, and he cannot go back to sleep for a long time. Most of the time when this happens, I end up asleep in his bed with him because it's like the only way to get him back to sleep. And he also, on top of that, doesn't nap. He has not napped since before he turned 2. I would say he was like 22, 23 months when he stopped napping, which is very early. Like, I've heard people say that their kids go up to age 4 and are still napping. And so it's very young to stop napping. And if he would take a nap around that age, he would be up until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, because it threw him off so much. Like, he could not nap and go to sleep at a regular hour at that time. So like, his sleep has been totally messed up. And I just remember too, before we could get him to sleep through the night, when he was still a baby, it being 1 in the morning, and like we were up with him. I remember driving him around the neighborhood, like just driving around like the streets outside our neighborhood, and like Adam was just asleep, and I would be like, Adam, I'm putting him in the car, because the car seat, he loved the car seat. So I would say like, I'm getting in the car, I'm gonna go drive him around. But then he never transferred well, so it was like the dumbest thing. So like, I would bring him inside, he would wake up. So anyways, we had and have some sleep issues with him. So there's your little bonus number 11. Adding on to that, we actually had a highlight called high chair naps for him. I totally forgot about this. So we still have it. If you want to go on my Instagram and watch it, it's funny. So the days that he would not nap, but he really needed to be napping, he would fall asleep at like 6:30 when we'd be eating dinner. he would just like he would just like that fall asleep eating dinner in like his high chair or booster seat. And they're the funniest videos. So, he's so loud. So anyways, hilarious. Go watch it. I will link my Instagram down below. So those were the 10 signs that we saw in Lincoln. Just based off of our experience, I know that every kid is going to be different. If you did like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for new videos every single week. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.
Get him, Wei, get him! Give him tickles!